Let's get to Liz Cheney.
But we're going to be.
Let's get to Liz Cheney before we get to Joseph Robinette Rogan on his lip shit.
Begin with the breaking news overnight out of Wyoming. A clear message from that state about the direction of the Republican Party. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who was reelected easily less than 2 years ago, lost badly last night in her primary fight against her Trump-backed challenger, Harriet Hageman. Cheney, of course, became a target for Trump after she became the face of Republican opposition to the former president, serving as a vice chair of the January 6th committee. Bob Costa has made his way to Jackson, Wyoming for us, and he joins us this morning. Bob, it's a big loss for Liz Cheney. Good morning.
Good morning, Tony. This contest was a prism into this moment inside the Republican Party.
Got fucking comstered, dude.
The Trump wing at war with many traditional Republicans. And while Congresswoman Cheney did concede defeat in this race, she did not concede in the battle for the future of the Republican Party.
Our work is far from over.
Surrounded by members of a family that have dominated Wyoming politics for decades, including her father, former Vice President Dick Cheney, Congresswoman Cheney.
Oh no, instead of Liz Cheney in Wyoming, now we're going to have someone who has the same exact positions as Liz Cheney in Wyoming, but also likes Trump more. Oh, womp womp. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, this was, of course it was going to happen. You know, go against the king, you best not miss, Liz. You know what I'm saying? Your daddy knows this. Why didn't you?
Accepted defeat.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again, but it would have required that I go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. That was a path I could not and would not take.
But Cheney was more defiant than wistful, warning Republican voters that their embrace of former President Trump is a threat to democracy.
No American should support.
Liz Cheney did this specifically for the coverage that you're watching currently, that mainstream media is offering her. If you think that she even has a fucking ounce of integrity and did this because she has like some kind of moral code that she abides by, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? That's it. You are a dumbass, you're a dupe, you watch too much mainstream media, maybe you even read too many articles. Liz Cheney did this so that she could get a New York Times bestseller, is probably already being written right now, and possibly a permanent position on MSNBC. Okay? The idea that Liz Cheney was in any meaningful capacity, genuinely conflicted about any of these things is a silly one. Okay? I don't know if she'll run for president on the Democratic ticket or anything like that. Who knows? But I would not be shocked. Okay? This is a person who in 2013 openly came out against gay marriage. Why is that relevant, you might ask? Because her sister is a lesbian. Liz Cheney's sister is famously a lesbian. Her own fucking flesh and blood. So much so that one of the reasons why Dick Cheney didn't run for president and instead controlled the White House from the VP slot was because she was a lesbian. Okay? Now, of course, in her endless effort of whitewashing Liz Cheney's career, she came out and said that she was wrong in opposing same-sex marriage. Okay? You know, she now supports it. Guys, now that she has decided she wants a fucking media career, she supports it. look closely at Liz Cheney and Donald Trump, it's hard to tell much of a difference. Yeah. Because these guys are demons. House Republican chair elected under Trump, 93% voting record with Trump. Okay. In 2013, Liz Cheney was campaigning against then Senator Mike Enzi of Wyoming when she publicly shared her opposition to same-sex marriage. She said, I do believe that it's an issue that's got to be left up to the states. I do believe in the traditional definition of marriage, she said at the time on Fox News Sunday. Liz Cheney was asked, you're anti-abortion. She said she's pro-life. Yes. She was asked, you're pro-gun rights, and you voted to repeal Obamacare. Do you regret that vote? She said, I do not know. Liz Cheney was also asked whether waterboarding, her father's, favorite form of torture, what her perspective was on waterboarding, which is torture. And she said, well, it's not torture. So if you're one of those fucking weirdos that's like, oh my God, she was girl bossing sweaty, fuck you. Liz Cheney is every bit the fucking demon that every other one of these monsters is. Okay? That's it. The only reason why she came out and said, like, well, she's actually now pro-gay marriage is because doing the whitewashing. She's whitewashing her career, her media career, in an effort to build up her media career. She's whitewashing and becoming more lib friendly. Here, let's take a look.
Waterboarding, aka torture.
Well, it's not torture.
But you support waterboarding.
I do. Absolutely.
This is liberal. This is the hero of liberals. Okay? Seems like you're just dividing more now by allowing her to try and change. Sometimes I want to drive a car into a wall in a video game at like 120 miles an hour so I could maybe survive the car crash and then end up having the same brain as that chatter so that I can better understand that chatter inside of the video game I'm talking about. Just a slushy, 7-Eleven Slurpee brain. It's torture, but why wouldn't you support it when it's against our enemies? War is war. Are we supposed to ask terrorists nicely to give us what we want? 1, terrorism is a designation that is created by, or at least weaponized by, the American government to deny habeas corpus to human beings living on U.S. soil and to justify all manner of cruelty that you subject them to. So that's number 1. Number 2, you have no idea whether or not these people are legitimately, once you have denied them their habeas corpus, you have no idea if these people have actually violated any sort of fucking crimes or are terrorists to begin with. Number 3, and last but not least, and probably the funniest part about it, is that waterboarding is literally ineffective. There have been 0 instances of torture, specifically waterboarding, but torture in general, actually working in getting workable intel out of a suspect. Because when you torture people, they tell you what you want to hear finally in an effort to stop the torture. They will say anything to make you stop. So, this, of course, has been deliberated endlessly on. Maybe you were too young to know, or maybe your brain is jello, so you didn't understand it back then when it was an open and shut case, and you still don't understand it because your brain is still stupid. You have a bad brain. I'm saying you're a stupid person. Okay? Now, of course, some chatters are doing the classic bit. Torture is proven to work. I've seen it on 24. Now, I know that that's a classic bit and not a genuinely held opinion because the person who wrote that died. His name was Antonin Scalia, and he was a U.S. Supreme Court justice. And he unironically defended torture by claiming that he had seen it work on the hit television show 24. For those of you who don't know, that's how deep the American brain rot goes. That is a very real take from a very real U.S. Supreme Court justice. Anyway. Didn't really think that I was going to be addressing like 2008 era torture takes in the chat, but that's fun. That's fun to think. Fun to think, and that's fun to consider. Love that.
I've had a principle for 60 years. I wrote about it in my new book, The Price of Principle, and that is if there's a dispute and one side wants the truth to come out and the other side says, no, we don't want the truth to come out, always believe the person who wants the truth to come out. That's the person who's telling the truth. And so the Trump people want the affidavit to be released. The Justice Department doesn't. Now, I'm not suggesting releasing the entire affidavit. You can redact the names of witnesses. You can redact the name of agents. You can redact sources and methods. But let's know what they were looking for. I want to know particularly, because to get a search warrant of a safe, you have to have very particular evidence what was in the safe. From reporting, we now know nothing was in the safe. We need to know what was in the closet of Mrs. Trump. We need to know what was in the
wait a minute. I
boxes.
think I can probably venture a pretty good guess. I think there were probably clothes in the closet.
That's awesome. God damn it. I love the Dersh, and I love Fox News for having him on. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, asking what's in the closet of Melania. But guess what? I mean, that's probably an innocent question, considering that, given his friendship and proximity to Jeffrey Epstein and his defense of Jeffrey Epstein, successful defense of Jeffrey Epstein, Melania may be outside of the age range that my man is used to and interested in, allegedly. So, gotta love Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer defending Trump here. Yeah. So yeah. That's cool. But getting back to Liz Cheney and how much I fucking despise her and how much I despise people for defending her. Let's wallow in let's celebrate this L one more time.
Support election deniers for any position of genuine responsibility.
Cheney is now the 8th out of 10 House Republicans who voted for Trump's second impeachment following the Capitol attack to be leaving Congress. Trump posted last night that Cheney can finally disappear into the depths of political oblivion, and he congratulated Hageman, who has baselessly claimed the 2020 election was rigged against Trump.
We're all very grateful to President Trump, who recognizes that Wyoming has only one congressional representative, and we have to make it count.
But Wyoming's Republican primary voters ultimately had the final say.
Liz Cheney has done absolutely nothing in the last 6 months except her hatred for Trump.
I mean, that's true, though. Like, that's literally true. If you're a Republican, your entire attitude towards your party hinges on how much you spare Trump's feelings, how good you make Trump feel, because that's what the voters on the ground want. Because the other stuff you're going to do, which Liz Cheney did perfectly, was just like obstructionist, voting against, any sort of Democratic legislation. She did all that. But that stuff is that's the bare minimum. And Republicans don't even expect the bare minimum. They expect a little bit more than the bare minimum from their party, from their legislators. And of course, that additional thing is how much you make Trump feel good about himself. Okay? God King Daddy Trump. So that's the reason why she lost. She took the fucking L because Trump was like, fuck you. You're a traitor.
Cheney's allies say she is considering a bid for the White House in 2024. But before making that decision, she plans to keep busy as the vice chair of the January 6th committee, which continues to probe the former president's conduct.
I will do whatever it takes to ensure Donald Trump is never again anywhere near the Oval Office, and I mean it.
It was also primary night in Alaska. Former Governor Sarah Palin projected to make the general election in her House race, though she's still waiting to see if she will fill the remainder of her predecessor's term. On the Senate side, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski.
Queen. Absolute queen. All right, let's take a look. Liz Cheney.
And we want to welcome.
Now, libtard media is literally fucking putting this demon, okay? This actual semen of a demon, this demon semen, because that's what she is, okay? The Cheneys are just fucked across the board. Maybe not the lesbian one. I don't know enough about her. But this idea that, like, Liz Cheney deserves anything other than, I don't know, just experiencing generational trauma for all of the harm that his fucking father caused to the planet is a silly one, okay? Like, if there was truly fucking any sort of karmic justice, if there was any sort of karmic justice, Dick Cheney would have been placed a curse. Dick Cheney would have had a curse placed upon his entire family for at least 7 generations, okay? Which would, of course, include Liz Cheney as well. But there is no karmic justice. Here's the hog that replaced Cheney. She's insane and it's great. I love that.
Joe Biden is the largest or the most destructive human trafficker in our history.
We already covered this earlier. She went full Joker mode. But that's cool. I mean, I like that. I like that. She's great, you know. We have a lot of male jokers out there. Why don't we have one for the ladies? You know what I mean? Why can the boys always? Why do the boys always get to have fun? Why can't the ladies?
Welcome in Congresswoman Liz Cheney joining us exclusively this morning from Jackson, Wyoming. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. Good to be with you.
Well, about last night, you lost by approximately 37 points, a greater margin than even polls had predicted. And I'm remembering back to when we had an interview back in May 2021 when you lost your leadership position. I said, they are coming after you. President Trump wants to go to Wyoming and take you on in the primary. And you said, bring it on. Well, they did. And here we are. And you lost. How do you feel about that now? What's your response today?
Well, look, I think, you know, as we've talked about before, I won my primary by 73 percentage points 2 years ago. The path to that same victory would have been very easy. It was clear how that path would go. But that path would have required that I accept, that I embrace, that I perpetuate the big lie. And I've been very clear at every moment since January 6th that there are some things that have got to be above politics. That there's no political office that's more important than the principles that we take an oath to defend. And I believe that Donald Trump continues to pose a very grave threat and risk to our republic. And I think that defeating him is going to require a broad and united front of Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And that's what I...
Boring. Boring. This is why you lost. No content. You could have been content. You
I
could have had
intend
content.
to be part of.
Back to a moment for your race. We all know the old adage, all politics is local. And in focus groups and interviews with reporters, many Wyoming voters said that you had lost your way. You went Washington and you were focused too much on Trump and not the issues that they cared about. One poll showed 61% of likely Republican voters there said you weren't focused on Wyoming issues. Was that the issue? Did you have the wrong focus?
Like, what are Wyoming issues? There are no Wyoming issues. She did what every other fucking Republican is going to do and would have done in that position. Okay? The only problem is the number one Wyoming issues is... No, stop saying fracking or farming or whatever. It's not like she took a legislative stance against Wyoming, okay? No, it literally is. The only issue is that she went up against Donald Trump. I'm not talking about the actual issues on the ground. You're like, oh, it has the highest suicide rate per capita. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about actual issues. What politician has actually fucking done anything good by its constituents? I'm talking about, like, what the people truly care about or what the people claim they care about. When someone says, Liz Cheney's not working at the behest of people in Wyoming. What, you think that fucking Joker woman is? No. Obviously not.
Focus.
No, look, I think I'm very proud of everything that that we accomplished together with the voters of Wyoming over the last nearly 6 years. But it became very clear after Donald Trump attacked the Capitol, sent a mob to attack the Capitol, refused to accept the results of the election, refused to tell his supporters to leave the Capitol when the assault was underway, that this was a threat that we've never faced before. He crossed a line that couldn't be crossed. And as a nation, you don't get the opportunity to debate and discuss any other issue if you simply turn your head away from that kind of a fundamental threat on our republic.
Well, in point of fact, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy did consider this a referendum on your work on January 6th. Former President Trump last night said it was a complete rebuke of that work. And you have said in the past that you thought the voters of Wyoming fundamentally understood how important that fidelity to the Constitution was. Did you get that wrong? Do people see it differently in the Republican Party?
Look, I think what we have seen, not just in Wyoming, but across the country, is that Donald Trump has betrayed Republican voters. He's lied to them. Those who support him have lied to them. And
bro, this is so dumb. Like, Donald Trump lied to his voters in the same way that every Republican has. Like, that's it. Donald Trump has lied to their voters about what? Oh, illegal immigrants stealing the jobs of, you know, the honest white Americans. Okay, every Republican also does that. That's the main plank of your fucking campaign strategy. Did Donald Trump lie that illegal immigrants also stole votes or stole the election? Guess what? That is just the Republican strategy in an effort to, once again, stop people from voting. In an effort to justify voter suppression mechanisms, the way that Donald Trump and Republicans before him have lied consistently to create like reason for said voter suppression mechanisms to exist. And that lie has always been that illegal immigrants are voting. Also, I do think that it's pretty funny that we like are paying attention to Wyoming. This is why I refuse to cover this story at all. But now that she fucking took the fattest L, you know, I will cover this state, which should not exist as a state. Let's be real. And I'm not even certain that it does. It's just ridiculous. It's just like cows and cow farts, and then maybe a couple people.
And they're using people's patriotism against them. They're preying on people's patriotism. Kevin McCarthy made his decision a few weeks after January 6th, knowing what he knew about Donald Trump's role in the assault on the Capitol, when he went to Mar-a-Lago and said, we're going to welcome him back in.
Although I think it got struck down, didn't New York City allow illegals to vote in local elections? Yeah, dude. Totally. Yeah, that's illegals. Yeah, no, totally. They can do that. Yeah. No, they still allow it actually everywhere, not just New York.
Into the party. To me, that's indefensible. This is a great, special, exceptional nation, and we need leaders who have reverence for our Constitution, who are faithful to our Constitution, and who are.
Doesn't California allow that? Everyone, everywhere. I'm telling you, Democrats allow everyone to vote everywhere, all the time, especially for the presidency. Sometimes 3 times.
Going to do what's required to abide by our oath, no matter whether or not it's politically convenient. Kevin McCarthy certainly does not fit that bill, but I know that there are millions and millions of Americans across this country, again, regardless of their party affiliation, who know that there's something more important than partisan politics and who know we all have to stand together if we want to defend this republic.
The former president said last night you're now headed to political oblivion. You said this fight is just beginning. You've even launched a political organization already. So let's just be straight about it. Are you considering running for president yourself?
Well, what I'm going to do, Savannah, is spend the next several months completing my work in Congress, obviously completing my work representing the people of Wyoming. We have a tremendous amount of work left to do on the January 6th committee. And also, though, I'm going to be making sure that people all around this country understand the stakes of what we're facing, understand the extent to which we've now got one major political party, my party, which has really become a cult of personality. And we've got to get this party back to a place where we're embracing the values and the principles on which it was founded, and talking about, you know, fundamental.
For the record, I'm fully on board with undocumented citizens being able to vote. I want them to be citizens anyway. Just so that there's no confusion. I think undocumented citizens should have a pathway towards citizenship, and then they should be able to vote. So, you know, just make no mistake on that front.
Fundamental issues of civics, fundamental issues of what does it mean to be a constitutional republic.
But Congresswoman, you didn't answer me yet.
Okay, this is so fucking boring. All right, these are the funniest liberal tweets. In her primary defeat, I think Liz Cheney won far more than she lost. I will say this for Liz Cheney. She was wrong about all but one thing. But that one thing was the most important thing. And she gave up more than most of us have to try and save it. Liz Cheney did not win, but she did something that almost no other Republican has done. She stood and fought. Hashtag her work is not done. Oh. This is why I despise liberals, for the record. Like, I need you to understand. This is part of the reason why I despise them. I hate them, and I think they're bad. They're not as bad, but marginally better. Just marginally fucking better. Only by the tiniest of margins. New GOP Liz Cheney converted her House Campaign Finance Committee to a Federal Leadership Political Action Committee hours after losing her primary, a Federal Election Commission filing shows. Nice. Good for her. It's like if my neighbor took a shit in my yard and then repainted my house. Like, thanks, but what the fuck, man? No, that's not true. It's like if your fucking neighbor is burning down your house with the rest of the fucking neighborhood, okay? And then one of your neighbors turns around and says, hey, in the process of burning down your house, he goes, hey, you know what? We should at least fix the windows. And you're like, oh my God, thank you for saying that. I love that you said while you're throwing a Molotov cocktail through my fucking front yard, you said you should fix my windows. And for that, I think you're brave. Putting my marker down that she will be the Dem VP in 2024, I am going to, in a video game, commit Sudoku, okay? I am going to commit Sudoku in a video game. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. I just, oh my God. I can't.